Serial transmission. Bits transmitted one after another on a single wire is called serial transmission. Here we can afford to optimize the wire for speed. Parallel transmission requires one wire per bit. Parallel transmission requires more wires. Cost per wire is greater and greater area for wiring, complexity of place and route. So these are the problems in parallel transmission. Parallel transmission also requires some more pins, hence the cost of package is more. Other effects that are present in parallel transmission are crosstalk, skew, delay due to increased area. Serial transmission techniques. Shift registers can be used to transform data between parallel and serial form. At the receiving end, at the transmitting end, the parallel data is loaded into a shift register and the output bit at one end of the register is used to drive the signal. The content of the register is shifted from one place at a time to drive successive bits of data onto the signal. At the receiving end, as each bit value arrives on the signal, it is shifted into a shift register. When all the bits have arrived, the complete data code word is available in parallel form in the shift register. The term serializer/deserializer or SERDES is used for shift registers that are used in this way. The advantage of serial transmission is that only one signal wire is needed to transfer the data. The circuit area and cost are reduced for the connection. We can afford to optimize the signal path so that the bits can be transferred at a very high rate. Some serial transmission standards in use today allow for rates exceeding 10 gigabits per second. Here we have an example. The figure shows serial transmission of 64-bit data within a clock domain. Here we have to show how a 64-bit data word can be transmitted serially between two parts of a system. Assume that the transmitter and the receiver are both within the same clock domain and the signal start is set to 1 on a clock cycle in which data is ready to be transmitted. Here we can see at the transmitting end we need a 64-bit shift register with parallel load control and an output from the least significant bit. At the receiving end we also need a 64-bit shift register but with a single bit input and parallel data output. The connections are shown in figure. Figure also shows the control section that sequences the serial transmission. When a start pulse occurs, the control section activates the receiver clock enable, which is RX_CE for 64 cycles to shift the serial data in. The control section then pulses RX_RDY to indicate that the received data is ready. A timing diagram for one transmission is shown in the figure. We can implement the control logic with a counter and a simple finite state machine as shown. NRZ transmission. Non-return to zero is the abbreviation of NRZ. It is a form of serial transmission. Here we can just set signal to high or low for each bit time. No indication of boundary between bit times. Here we need to synchronize transmitter and receiver separately. Example by a common clock and control signals as in the previous example. Start-stop bit synchronization. A scheme to achieve synchronization in NRZ transmission. At transmitter side, hold signal high when there is no data. To transmit, drive signal low for 1 bit time, that is called a start bit. Then drive successive data bits. Then drive signal high for 1 bit time, stop bit, which is nothing but stop bit. At receiver side, receiver is idle as long as the signal is high. Receiver prepares to receive the data after detecting start bit. Receiver waits for successive bit times until all data bits are received, shifting each bit into the shift register. Receiver uses the stop bit time to return to the idle state. UART. UART stands for Universal Asynchronous Receiver Transmitter. Here, a common I/O controller for serial transmission using NRZ with the start-stop bits relies on transmitter and receiver clocks being approximately the same frequency. The transmitter and receiver typically have independent clocks, each several times faster than the serial bit rate. The sender uses its clock to transmit the data, and the receiver uses its clock to determine when to send the data, synchronized by occurrence of the start bit. The figure shows the illustration in which the transmit clock and receive clock have slightly different frequencies and are not related in phase. This figure indicates generation and sampling of serial data using transmitter and receiver clocks. Manchester encoding. Manchester encoding combines transmitter clock with the transmission data. This ensures regular edges in the serial signal. Manchester encoding represents each data bit by transition in the middle of each bit time. 0 low to high transition, 1 for high to low transition. This may need a transition at the start of a bit time. Manchester encoding of the value 11100 is shown in the figure, with the MSB transmitted first with bit intervals defined by the transmitter's clock. Clock recovery. A transmitter's side At the transmitter side, which is using Manchester encoding, transmitter sends preamble before data. Preamble is a sequence of encoded 1 bits. Serial signal then matches transmitter's clock. Receiver uses a phased lock loop or PLL to match receiver clock to transmitter clock, as shown in the figure. A phase locked loop in a oscillator whose phase can be adjusted to line up with a reference clock signal. So PLL is used here. Figure shows synchronization of transmit and receive clocks by a PLL. The main advantage of Manchester encoding over NRZ transmission is that it contains sufficient transitions to allow clock synchronization without the need for separate signal wires. The disadvantage is that the bandwidth of the transmission is double that of NRZ transmission. Manchester encoding has been used in numerous serial transmission standards, including the original Ethernet standard. Serial interface standards. These standards cover two broad areas of serial interfaces. First one is connection of I/O devices to computers. Second one is connection of computers together to form a network. Use of standards reduces design effort. Reuse off-the-shelf components or IP. Some examples of serial interface standards for connecting I/O devices include RS-232. Serial transmission in RS-232 interfaces use NRZ encoding with start and stop bits for synchronization. Data is usually transmitted with the LSB first and MSB last. Originally, it was used for modems, now widely used for low bandwidth I/O. I2C, Inter-Integrated Circuit Bus, which was developed by Philips Semiconductors. It requires two signals, one for NRZ coded serial data and other for a clock. The signals are driven by open drain drivers. It is a bus protocol for a low bandwidth, that is 10 kilobits per second to 3.4 megabits per second transmission between chips in a system. Advantage is it is a simple protocol and it has low implementation cost. I2S or inter-IC sound for serial transmission of digitally encoded audio signals between chips. For example, within a CD player. So I2S is a variation of I2C. USB, Universal Serial Bus. It was implemented by USB Implementers Forum INC. Used for connecting I/O devices to computers, it uses differential signaling on a pair of wires with a modified form of NRZ encoding. Different configurations support serial transmission at 1.5 megabit per second, 12 megabit per second, or 480 megabit per second. It is a complex protocol. USB interface designs for inclusion in ASIC and FPGA designs are available in component libraries from vendors. FireWire IEEE standard 1394. FireWire started out as a high-speed 400 megabit per second bus. Revision of the standard defining transfer at rates up to 3.2 gigabit per second. FireWire connections use two different signaling pairs, one for data and the other for synchronization. It is a complex protocol. FireWire assumes that any device connected to the bus can take charge of operation, whereas USB requires a single host controller. This is used in application with the high-speed transfer of bulk data, for example, digital video streams for cameras. Here we have an example where we have to design an interface to connect an embedded GovNet core to a remote temperature sensor. The temperature sensor is an analog devices AD7414 with an I2C connection and an alert input that can be connected to a warning indicator. The open course repository contains an I2C controller component that is Wishbone compliant. We connect the controller to the GovNet course Wishbone I/O bus and provide pad connections to an external I2C bus for connecting the temperature sensor. We connect the alert output of the sensor to an LED indicator. The sensor allows the embedded software to program threshold temperatures beyond which the alert indicator is activated. The system is designed as shown in figure. The use of serial I2C bus allows connection to the temperature sensor with only two wires, resulting in a substantial reduction in system cost compared to connection using a parallel bus.